It was past 10 p.m. in downtown Chicago. The glass towers glowed against the night sky, and the parking garage was almost empty. Richard Carter, billionaire founder of Carter Dynamics, pressed the unlock button on his sleek black Tesla. His mind was elsewhere. Tomorrow was the biggest day of his life. A $600 million merger that would double his company's value. But just as he reached for the handle, a sharp, trembling voice cut through the silence. "Don't move. Don't say a word." Richard froze. The voice hadn't come from behind him. It came from inside the car. He leaned forward, squinting into the shadows of the back seat. A girl, maybe 8 years old, was curled up against the leather upholstery. Her eyes were wide with fear, her small hands clutching a torn backpack. "They're listening," she whispered, pointing toward the towering corporate building behind them. "Your partner and his wife. They said you'd be here right now." Richard's heart slammed in his chest. His business partner, Daniel Brooks, had been by his side for 17 years. Daniel's wife, Claire, had practically been family, and his executive assistant, Rachel Adams, had been his most trusted confidant for a decade. Yet this child, this stranger, was telling him something he didn't want to believe. "How did you get into my car?" Richard asked softly, sliding into the driver's seat without sudden movement. "The cleaning lady left it open," the girl said. "I hid. I overheard them upstairs. They said tomorrow you won't own a thing anymore." Richard's stomach tightened. Tomorrow was the merger meeting. The contracts, the presentations, everything Daniel and Rachel had prepared for him. "What else did you hear?" he asked, pretending to scroll through his phone, his eyes darting to the office windows above. The girl's voice shook. "They laughed about you. Said you'd just signed the papers without reading. That you're too stupid to see you're being played. Claire said you'll be looking for a new job by Friday." The words hit Richard harder than any bullet. 17 years of trust, 10 years of loyalty, and behind his back he was nothing but a joke to them. "What's your name?" he asked. "Emily," she said softly. "And yours is Richard Carter." I heard them say it over and over. She hesitated. "Are you going to call the cops on me now?" Richard did something he hadn't done in weeks. He smiled. "No, Emily, I think you may have just saved my entire life's work." That night, Richard didn't sleep. He sat in his penthouse overlooking Lake Michigan, watching Emily eat a burger at his kitchen counter, while his mind pieced together the betrayal. For years, Daniel and Rachel had access to everything. Contracts, accounts, passwords. They knew his weaknesses, his habits, his blind trust. But Emily's words replayed in his head like a broken record. "They think you're stupid." Richard Carter was many things, but stupid was not one of them. At 3 a.m. he made a call. "Jack, it's Richard. I need you." On the other end was Jack Sullivan, a former FBI investigator Richard had once hired for background checks. Daniel and Rachel had pushed to terminate Jack years ago, calling him unnecessary. Now Richard understood why. By sunrise, Jack was sitting in Richard's living room, flipping through files on his tablet. "You were right to call me," Jack said. "I've been digging since they cut me loose. Daniel and Rachel aren't just plotting to steal your company. They've been siphoning money for years, fake clients, shell companies, offshore accounts. We're talking at least $8 million gone." Richard's jaw clenched. "And the merger?" Jack's eyes darkened. "Money laundering. They need your signature to legalize the transfers. Once you sign, you're out. And they walk away clean." Richard leaned back, his pulse steadying. For the first time, he saw the betrayal clearly. It wasn't just business, it was crime. Emily looked up from her fries. "So, they think you're their little puppet. But you're not, are you?" Richard smiled, a dangerous calm in his eyes. "No, Emily, I'm not." The next afternoon, 2 p.m., the Carter Dynamics boardroom gleamed under the fluorescent lights. The documents were neatly stacked, pens placed perfectly on the polished oak table. Daniel greeted Richard with a warm smile and a brotherly hug. "Rich, big day, huh? The Japanese investors are going to love this. All you need to do is sign right here." Rachel approached with a reassuring grin. "Don't worry, boss. I've highlighted every page you need. Just like always. You can trust me." Richard picked up the pen, but didn't sign. Instead, he looked up slowly. "I actually brought something to share first." The doors opened. Jack Sullivan walked in, followed by 2 federal agents. Daniel's smile faltered. Rachel's hand tightened around the folder she carried. Richard connected his laptop to the projector. "Daniel, Rachel, do these numbers look familiar?" The screen lit up with spreadsheets of fake contracts, Wire transfers to offshore accounts, signatures tying directly back to them. Rachel's voice cracked. Richard, this isn't what it looks like. Isn't it? Richard cut her off, his voice like steel. 8 million stolen, 17 shell companies, and a merger built on fraud. Daniel's face flushed red. He slammed his fist on the table. Where did you get this? Richard leaned forward. You really thought I built a $600 million company by being careless? No, Daniel. The only careless ones here are you. Rachel's last defense crumbled when Jack pressed play on a recording. Her voice echoed through the speakers. Richard is such a fool. Tomorrow we'll make him sign his life away. By the end of the week, Carter Dynamics won't even have his name on it. Daniel's voice followed. 17 years pretending to be his friend. It'll be worth it when he loses everything. The room fell silent. Emily, escorted by a social worker, stepped forward. Hi, Mr. Daniel, she said softly. Remember me? I was under your desk last night when you said, Mr. Carter was too stupid to see what's happening. Daniel's jaw dropped. He had no words. The federal agent moved forward. Daniel Brooks. Rachel Adams. You're under arrest for corporate fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy. As the cuffs clicked shut, Daniel shouted, You'll regret this, Richard! Richard adjusted his cufflinks calmly. No, Daniel. The only thing I regret is ever trusting you. That evening, Richard watched the Chicago skyline as the sun dipped below the horizon. His company was safe. The Japanese investors had canceled, but 3 other firms had already called, eager for legitimate partnerships. And Emily? She sat across from him at the dining table, sipping hot chocolate with whipped cream. Are they really going to jail, Mr. Carter? She asked. Yes, Emily, for a long time. Jack closed his file with satisfaction. You know, Richard, she's got a sharp mind. Without her, this would have played out very differently. Richard smiled at the little girl who had changed everything. She reminded me of something I'd forgotten. That when people underestimate you, you don't fight louder, you fight smarter. And for the first time in months, Richard Carter felt something he thought he had lost forever. Hope.